I'm getting a lot of questions these days about roof replacement. This is Ron Wysokarski from the Black Hole of Real Estate, and I got to tell you, roof replacement, well, it isn't necessarily what you think. You see, recently I had a roof put on the house, and I'm in the industry, and I thought I was pretty well prepared for this, and I wasn't not prepared, but I thought I'd give you a little something, a little humor today about what may or may not go right when you're adding a roof. See, the first thing is you got to get some estimates, right? And if there's insurance involved, and there's a roof claim or a hurricane claim or something like that, you've got to get it approved by your insurance company. And then they're going to give you some money less a deductible. That's most insurance, whether it's roofs or cars or this. It's make a claim, determine the amount, get estimates, know there's a deductible, receive a check. That check that you get from an insurance company, it's probably written out to you and whoever else owns the home. And it also might need to be signed off by the bank if there's a lender in place, and they endorse it usually for the benefit of the roofing company. So in my example, my wife and I had to sign off the check, get it signed off to the bank, and then we gave it to the roofer. A little trust involved there, but we knew the roofing company, and we weren't worried they're going to take that money and never show up again, because that's a thing. So check reviews when you choose a roofer, and get some references for sure. So it's a process to actually get the check. Now, if you're not getting a check, if you're just buying a roof, you can skip all that first part. You see, but now that you've got the roofer lined up, there's this thing called permits. So they're going to file a permit with the city or the municipality where you live, town, whatever that might be. And if you happen to live in a homeowners association community, you're likely to have to get an approval through the Architectural Review Committee, the ARC. So that could happen. So while you're filing with the HOA community and you're filing with the city, you get all your paperwork in, and then hurry up and wait. Now, once the HOA approves you and the city opens up the permit for you, you've got to select your materials. And they got to order your materials and hope that the ones that you want come in. And now we start the thing that we call coordinated chaos. You're going to predict a date in the future where they're going to start the roof. And here's some of the things that if you're not thinking about it, this is a good time to get a pen and paper if you don't have it legit, or listen to this again. But write these things down. Because now that you've got the permits in line and approvals with your homeowners association and with the city or municipality, and you've selected the roofer and you've got the estimates and you've chosen the type of shingles and the color of the shingles, you've got all that down. Now you got to find a date in the future for them to start based on ordering of materials. And here's a few things that you got to coordinate. Let's suppose for a minute that you've got solar for the house or the pool that is on top of the place. So you've got to take that into account because you have to have it taken down ahead of time. You also have to schedule a date to put it back up. And even if you get it down and you think you've scheduled with a solar company, double check that date. Because if the scheduler doesn't schedule it, then let's say your roof came down today and the roof is completed by next Monday. There's nothing saying they're coming back on Tuesday to put that solar back up over there. Matter of fact, the city might have to come through and do the final approval and then the solar go back up. And if they're busy like a summertime, they could be 6 weeks out, booked up. So if there's any gap in the schedule, the takedown and the put back up of your solar equipment, you may not have your solar for a little bit. So think about that, the scheduling. It's got to come down. It's got to go back up. Some people have satellites on the roof. The same thing. You've got to schedule it to come down. You got to schedule it to go back up. And that scheduling can get a little bit iffy too, because in some areas they only do 1 or 2 days a week. And a lot of times you got to be home for that. You see, the roof could largely go up without you there. The solar could come down and go back up without you there because it's outside access. But on a satellite or something like that, once they they take it down, they could probably do that without you there. But you still got to where you can put that dish. But when they put it back up, they've got to go back in and re-inspect it, make sure it's all hooked up properly. So that's either a scheduled time where you're off of work or somebody home. So that's a thing. Now, what you're not thinking about is things that might cause delays. As luck would have it, the day that we're supposed to have the solar down and the roof is starting, it rained. Sets everything back. So now you're off schedule by a day. So now all the takedowns and putbacks up, those are in jeopardy, because if the roof is not done, you don't want to put in the solar back up. You don't want to put in the satellite back up. So there is coordinated at these events. In the chaos, there's coordination that even in the best laid plans, things can go a little sideways. Let's suppose that they're finally, the solar is down, and they go to bring the shingles. And for whatever reason, they brought the big truck instead of the small truck. And it can't get around your tree, and it can't drop the shingles where they're supposed to put them in the yard. So they decide that they want to put them in the driveway, but that's blocking you from getting in your driveway. Okay, so that's not good, right? And if you happen to live in a homeowners association where you're not allowed to park in the streets overnight, and the shingles are taking up the whole driveway, see, that's the thing. So now the shingles got to go back. And they got to go back on a different day with a different truck. That way, they can put them in the yard where they're supposed to go. But then when the next truck comes in, and they just happen to drop it in the driveway and leave, and it's a big pallet and it's heavy, like, now you've got that. So now that's blocking the driveway. So now you got to park someplace else, because this is real. It's almost like it happened to somebody, right? Like me. So now the shingles are out of the way. But guess what? There's a dumpster. And now they can't fit the dumpster in the spot. So again, it's in your driveway. And at this point, you're just hoping, like, hey, can you leave a lane so we can at least pull in there? But you got to think this through. You're pulling up close to the house with doing the roof, where all the stuff is getting thrown off and probably landing on your car, and all those, the particles and things that come off of the shingles. Yeah, that's getting everywhere all over the driveway in the car. So that's going to come up again and again and again. But working around that, now the city, when the permit is being issued and posted, they've got to come back and do inspections. Let's just imagine the city didn't show for an inspection. You can't move forward on it. Now all the roofers' work is delayed. They're going to a different job and starting something else because they can't work on yours. And again, all your timelines are getting pushed. So you're at the mercy of the city and the re-inspections. And okay, hey, and how about another rain day? Let's throw that in there. So it gets a little bit dicey along the way. And then you think you've got it all wrapped up, except for when they're doing the tear-off part in the beginning, they throw you a little curveball. Hey, what's going on with the satellite? See, maybe you took care of the solar but forgot the satellite. Just wasn't thinking about the satellite. Just, take it off. No big deal. I mean, cut it, put it back up. That was garden variety. But then everything's off the roof. Like, hey, we throwing away the gutters? I'm like, no, I just bought those. So then gutters. So they're going to take your gutters off and do the roof, then put them back on. So that also needs to come into consideration. So, the checklist get a little bit longer. You've got to think about solar, satellite, gutters, permits, your homeowners association, add in a couple of rain days. We've kind of talked about the driveway situation and the parking situation between the shingles on the pallet and all the things all the vents they got to go back on there. And then, the driveway being blocked by the dumpster for a week. And as you're moving through this, you're like, all right, I got this. They finally, they've got the tear off done. They've put all the sheeting. They've done all of that work. And, probably another day or two, they'll have all the shingles on. You're near the finish line. And you go to do some laundry, and your dryer breaks. And you call a repair guy, doing all the chaos, and you get a guy to come out to repair the dryer, and he looks like, dryer's fine. Like, what do you mean? It's not drying. Well, when they tear off the roof, and then they do all the underlayment, in most cases, they cover up the dryer vents. So when the heat is not escaping the dryer through the vent, it's automatically shutting down the heating portion of it for safety reasons. So you've now hired a company to come out and fix the dryer, except for it wasn't a dryer. It was just your vent was covered. Didn't see that one coming. And one more thing. Finally, the roof is just about done, and they're working late. They come like at afternoon or Friday, so to Saturday. Almost done. Yeah. By the way, it's noisy, so all Friday night is really, really noisy. They finally finish on Saturday, but they forget to get the dumpster out, so you still can't park your driveway over the weekend. And when they eventually come back and get it on Monday, the dumpster's pulled out of there. Please, for safety reasons, make sure that your roofer is cleaning up There's a lot of sharp metal and objects and nails and tacks and things that, you know, you don't want to step on if you're barefoot or even in a flip-flop, and hopefully it's not in your yard. So, you know, want to make sure that they're putting some tarps or things around your house, because that sharp metal is going to be living in your yard, in the grass, where you can't see it if it's not carefully addressed throughout the process. So, you know, funny story about a roof. All those things really, really happened over the last few weeks on a roof, and I was reasonably well prepared, but since there was a few things I missed, so why not talk about that during the insurance segment? That is so important. And then now that it's done, I just have to notify the homeowners association. We've got this permit closed out with the city, and then let our insurance company know it's a brand new roof. So hopefully now we'll get a lower premium, or maybe it will go up less in the future. So I hope this helped you out with insurance in the real estate industry, and of course, the trials and tribulations of adding a roof and things that you may not have realized or might have forgotten. Now we've got it all documented. I'm sure there's more. So subscribe, hit that button. If there's something we missed that also might be one of those gotchas on the roof, drop it in the comments below. Look forward to catching up with you next week. This is Ron Wysokarski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.